What's up, everybody? I'm back with another story video. I didn't do the thing where I go across the thing like that. Well, the time of recording this video, about an hour and a half prior, I became unemployed voluntarily. It was my decision. I quit my job that I've had for almost 2 years now. Probably the 2 year mark will probably have passed by the time this video goes live. But you guys know I used to do a series called Work Stories here. And I discontinued that because of this job and because I didn't want to lose it because of the channel. But I'm no longer working there. So I thought, while the memories are still fresh in my head, I thought I'd talk about some fun stories from my time there. And it was far from perfect. I will say that. It was very, very much far from perfect. I don't know how long this video will go. I have enough stories that I could tell for hours and hours and hours, but I'll narrow it down to a few that really stand out to me over the course of my time working there. I have done a little bit of filming on location at that place. Like, part of the turkey video was filmed there. The part of the Halloween vlog was filmed there. And the cart pushing record obviously was filmed there, and I'll get to that a little bit later in the video. So you got a little sneak peek at it, but I haven't really talked about it much on this channel outside of when Work Stories was officially shut down and that kind of thing. So let's get into it, shall we? Now, I still very much remember getting hired there. This was my first job, my first official job. I had a job mowing someone's lawn for about a month or whatever. Before this, I had a job cleaning my dad's office every other week for a little while, which I continued actually doing that partway into my time at Kroger, and I eventually had to drop that because of the schedule I had and stuff like that. Maybe I'll take that back now that I'm not working there anymore. I'm not staying unemployed forever, guys. The channel has not gotten that big. I will be getting a job on campus, college, in the fall. I don't know when this video is going to go live, but it'll be sometime in like mid to late August that I will start this job. So, and then I'll talk about that job maybe when I'm there. I don't know how long I'll have it, but anyway, I do remember getting hired there still, because again, it was my first job, and I think a lot of people always remember their first job, and I remember getting hired there. I remember it was a very laid back, lax process, maybe a little bit too laid back, because now how I know about it now, pretty normal for them. Some probably even better than what people are getting today if you hire there as well. So, I mean, they hired me right on the spot, and no other job did that. So that was good, and everything. So I was able to get a job and get started. And starting there was really nice because everybody was really nice to me. Everybody was cool. Everybody got along. Everybody did their job. Everybody tried to train me, make sure I knew everything. And they were really inclusive, really nice, and there's a lot of cool people there that I met. So it was a nice, very warm welcome start of starting there. And if you ask me what my favorite day of working there is, I wouldn't consider any day working there necessarily a really fun day. There were some fun instances in the day, but the day in general, I wouldn't consider a very fun day. But even if I'm saying my favorite day working there is probably the first day. Not the first. Okay, when I started there, I had to do about 2.5 days of computer training, working on the computer. So I had computer training, learning all the stuff, and the basic general stuff that they don't really teach you. They'll go over it with you when you actually are on the floor getting trained and stuff like that. But they are not going to I don't know how to say it. They're not gonna run it down all the way. You gotta kind of figure that out stuff on your own. It was easy stuff. I was a courteous clerk. I bagged groceries, pushed the carts, cleaned the bottle room, cleaned up messes, that kind of stuff. I was all over the place. Okay, but it didn't always start out that way. Now I remember the first thing I did once I got on the floor, which was actually my third day working. I was actually on the floor for the first time, and I remember I paired up with somebody. I'm not gonna say any names in this video. But the people who there, if you worked with me there, or you shout out, you guys were amazing. Everybody there was amazing. I mean, for the most part, at least. There are some people I'm glad I don't have to be around anymore, but that's few and far between people. Not everybody's perfect either, but the general, that's one thing that I think I really liked about this job was the people. The people were really nice, and so that was cool. It made it better. It definitely did help and definitely made it better. But I remember the first thing I did was bag with the person that I was paired with for the day. And I only got about one real good day of training. Like that day, she kind of left me after that. I was kind of on my own for most of the day. I only worked a little bit afterwards. It didn't really matter. The second time I got paired with somebody to train, only the person ever showed up. So it really was just kind of on my own, running around, doing my own thing. And then the third day, I finally got paired up with somebody who actually showed up, and he actually really helped. Turned out it was his last day, but he showed me everything that I needed to know, and was very, very nice and very, very helpful. And after that, I was just kind of on my own. And there was a lot of supervisors that I worked with. People who ran the customer service desk would also be supervisors of us, the courtesy clerks, and the cashiers. Worked with a lot of those people. A lot of those people came and go. A lot of them were great. And I remember, and it was good. You know, I was just kind of up and down roller coaster. You know, we'd have some good spirits at times where we got a lot of people and productivity was high and everybody was on good terms. And then we'd have some low points of productivity where there was very few people or people weren't doing their job. There was some arguments. There's, you know, and you get that in any job. I would assume so, at least. I hope this is not an isolated case because that is a problem. But I think you get that kind of just without a job as well. It was really, really nice. Again, people were really, really good. And I ended on good terms with everybody, so that was nice too. But a few select stories I'd like to tell. One of them goes back to that last cart pushing record. I was very intrigued of how many carts I could push. We were only supposed to push between 5 and 8. And we were supposed to use a strap. And we were supposed to wear an bright orange vest. And I did not like wearing the vest for some reason. For the longest time, I never wore it. Until they finally threatened to fire me. And then I finally put it on. I was fine with it after that. I never got used to the strap, though. I never did use the strap. I just never, like, it was, like, when I was getting trained there, it was broken, so nobody was using it. I just kind of learned learn how to push carts without it. So when it was fixed and we got new ones, I wasn't really intrigued to use it, and they were fine without me using it. I was actually more efficient not using it than some people were while using it. It definitely had its advantages. Just never got used to it. And anyway, I don't even remember where I was going with this story. Oh yeah, cart pushing record. So I was very intrigued. How many carts could I push in one time? Like, I could have pushed 10. My limit, by the way, for a comfortable cart session was about 9 carts. 10 was pushing, and I could do 10. If I was feeling up to it, I could do 10 pretty good. 11 was too much, and then it just got worse and worse and worse after that. The most I ever pushed was 22. I think it was pushed. And I couldn't even turn it. I just pushed it straight and then got rid of them after that. But the record, like, I found this video on YouTube. I was, like, searching up cart pushing record Kroger. I found this video on YouTube of these two guys from, like, 2010 hauling, like, this carts, and they were just, like, all the way down the parking lot. And, like, they didn't even say how many it actually was, but I wanted to count them, and I got like 60 something. And then I read the comments on that video, and somebody else said that they pushed like 74, 73, something like that. And I was like so blown away. I'm like, well, we can break that, right? We can do that, right? Like, I could break that, right? I could try and beat that. There was a period of time where we didn't have a lot of carts. Because old people who live we have an apartment complex near the store, and old people who live in that, it's like a retirement home / apartment complex, like, for elderly people, and they would steal the carts and actually use them to walk back, and then they would just leave them there, and we would have to literally, like, take the across the street, like walk like a half mile round trip just to get them back through the road and through grass and everything like that. I did that once, and it was not very fun. Because they leave them over by the trash cans. There wasn't even that many. They're like, oh yeah, there's a ton over there. Go bring them back. And there's like 5. Like, really? Really? You made us go on that trek? 3 of us went, and 5 carts? Are you kidding me? Thank God. Anyway, back to this cart pushing record. So I'm like, we can do this, right? We can get this pushed, right? So I talked to a bunch of the other people in my department at the time, and this is when we had a bunch of abundant people working, and it was fun. It was like sometime in September, so it was still warm out. I'm like, we're gonna do this. Like, I was working a night shift that night. I'm like, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna go on power hour. Power hour, by the way, go out, push all the carts off the lot, bring them inside. If you fill them up inside, then bring them to the outside corral, which eventually got removed. So it was just we just hit them on the wood chip hill. And that's kind of how it stays today, actually. And so, like, we can do this, right? So, I'm out there, and we're lining them up, and I'm seeing how much I can push. And my friend Nick, I've known Nick prior to working at Kroger. Go to school with him for the longest time, and he was working at Kroger prior to the pandemic, and then he was one of the main reasons why I got hired there, because I wanted at least one person I knew working there. I didn't want like everybody I knew working there. I didn't know anybody except for him going in. I met a bunch of people early on, so by that point, by late September, I was pretty comfortable, pretty content with my position there, and so I knew people. I was like talking around, like, all right, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna start lining them up, and he got out at 9. This was like 9:15. He got off at 9. It was 9:15. Because power issues, it was always like 9 o'clock. Sometimes it's 8 o'clock. I don't know when it is now. I haven't worked a night shift in a while because I was working days until I left, starting in like May, late April, early May. So I don't know when it is now. I assume it's probably still around 8 or 9 o'clock. They don't even really announce it. Like, you just kind of have to go out there and do it yourself, kind of thing. So I don't even know if they have really a set time for it anymore because of staffing issues. They don't really have somebody to run the place at night, which has been a problem for a while. So I won't go not too big of a problem, because, you know, for the most part, people can manage each other well. It's some of the courtesy clerks, like, you know, the teenagers, 16-year-olds, whatever. And I was 17 when I got hired there, and I'm 19 now. So still not on I was still around that age, but, you know, I'd been there for a while at that point. But anyway, I'm going off track. Anyway, so, like, I'm struggling. I'm, like, up to 34, and I can't move this thing, right? And I'm trying to get up there. I'm trying to get up to that, I think it was 71. I'm going to say 71. So Nick's sitting in his car, you know, I think he was watching us. I think it was both, 1, getting ready to leave, and 2, watching us do this. But he gets back out of his car, and he's like, step aside, people. I will do this. And so we line them all up. He's like, how many do you need? And like, we'll just find as many. And I'm like, well, like 71. It's like, just find as many as possible. So we line them all up. 78 total we lined up. And then I get my phone out, so I start filming, which would have got me fired right on the spot if somebody was out there checking on us. Because I was on my phone while on the clock, which I did a lot, actually, and my reputation there. I mean, I got my stuff done. So what are you going to do? But he was off the clock, and he wasn't even supposed to be pushing because he's off the clock. So, oh well, this was like 2 years ago now, almost. But then he shoving him along, pushing him along, and then he couldn't do it, so he had to take one off. And he did another one, took another one off. And 76, and then he finally got it to budge, and he pushed it a few feet, and he called it good. 76 cart record champion. I never attempted to beat that record of 76 carts. Never even got close. Mainly because after that we started losing carts and couldn't really get up to that amount again. And then I just kind of lost interest. But Nick holds the record to this day, 76, which is a national record. So that's great. Thank Nick. Shout out if you're watching this, because that was an awesome event. That was awesome. I have a lot of other fun stories pushing carts that we'll get to in a little bit. But pushing carts was a thing I did a lot, specifically because we needed them, and we were a very small yet very busy store. And a lot of the carts back then were old and bumpy because they had these stupid security locks on them, right? Like if the sensor saw somebody was stealing stuff, the cart would lock up, and then you have to unlock it with like a special key, and then it would just unlock. It would lock up for anything. It would lock up for over the counter. It would lock up for like medications. It would lock up for meat. It would lock up for alcohol. It would lock up for chips. It would lock up for drinks. It would lock up for eggs. It would lock up for literally anything that it felt like, which was really annoying when a bunch of them just like lock up and you have to unlock them. Sometimes they wouldn't unlock, they would just stay locked, and you would have to then like wheel them awkwardly to the back of the store so that they could either be thrown out or repaired. And that was really annoying. And then it took us, oh my god, it took us almost a whole 6 months to get us a new shipment of carts between when they were ordered and when they actually arrived. Maybe even a year. It took a long time for them to get new ones that don't have the locks on them. So that was really easy to push them. And eventually we also got a new paved parking lot. That was in November, the year I started working there, 2020. We got a new parking lot. And when we were pushing the carts, we had to either have them by the fuel center or on the side of the store. The side of the store didn't get actually, that parking lot didn't get repaved, just the main lot. And the couple days that they were paving it that I was working for, it was hell to push those carts up. But it was worthwhile in general. The carts were harder to turn on the new pavement, but they weren't bumping as much, so they were lasting longer. And it was also better to walk on, so that was good. I think it was overall worthwhile investment on their part. They didn't make a lot of worthwhile investments. That one was definitely one of them. There's another one I'm going to get to in a minute. Yeah, not in a minute, but later on in the video that I'm going to talk about. And then Nick, he quit a few weeks after that. I think it was either December or I think it was December that he left that year. He was a king for sure. I've talked to him since. He's cool. We're cool. He was a great worker though. I miss him so much. I said I wasn't gonna mention any names, but I'm cool with mentioning his name because he has been on the channel before and stuff like that. So I won't mention any other names. There's another guy though. Really liked working with. He was cool. And then, other people. Another main thing, though, going back to what I had to do, was working in the bottle room. The bottle room I had to do a lot of work in. And our machines were so freaking old. Oh, my God. That was... I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore. Those bottle machines were so hard because they were so old and they were so neglected and they were so dirty. They just did not work, and the doors weren't working correctly. You had to take the bins out, and you had to clean the sensors, and you had to spray the bottoms, and those things sucked. I was in the bottle room a lot, and that's actually where I spent most of my last day today, was in that bottle room, feeding cans to the machines that hadn't been put through the machines, and we had to count them ourselves, and they'd been put through the machines and stuff like that. The reason for that is the day I put my 2 weeks notice in, which it was 2 weeks ago today at the time of recording this video, we finally got new ones. We had been begging since literally September 2020. Almost 2 years it took them to finally give us new bottle machines. We've been begging and begging and begging for that. I can't tell you how many times the company that made those machines, a guy comes in, looks at what's wrong with them, and then goes over a whole training process with us over the machines. Did like 4 or 5 times. And every time we're like, well, we need new machines. We need new machines. We need new machines. And they're like, well, we'll get you new machines. They're coming. They're coming. They're coming. They're coming. And then they finally, 2 weeks notice, they just randomly put them in. They didn't actually put them in that day. They took the old ones away, gave us 3 new temporary ones, one for glass, cans, and plastic. And then they said, okay, we'll be back in a week for the new ones. I'm like, and it seemed that bad to start, but these new machines, right, they didn't have our normal bins that we could just put in, put out, and have cans and stuff. No, they had these stupid little laundry baskets, right? Those were the dirtiest fucking things in the entire world. And you'd have to, when it fills up, and it would fill up quick. It was like literally a laundry hamper, right? And 2 of them in there. And you have to pick them up, dump them into the bin. Okay, you have to pick them up, dump them in. Cans and plastic, whatever. I mean, they were dirty as hell, and they would get stuck, and you would have to tip them all the way over. You have to grab the sides, which were even worse because they had dirty stuff on them to get in your hands, right, and get you an STD infection, whatever, and you'd have to do that. And then the glass one would weigh like 200 pounds. So you either had to empty it by hand until you could dump it, or you had to do it with 2 people or 3 people even. Like, what were they thinking? And they were taking a week. I can tell you how busy we were. It was 4th of July week. And we did this the time we'd leave us. Eventually, all the machines quit. And they would still crush them in the machines, and then we'd have to dump them and stuff like that. That's not why the ones were unprocessed. The unprocessed ones came from when all the machines were broken, and we moved our trash bins out by one of these self-checkouts, and we counted them there, and then put them in the bags, and then dumped the bags into the bins, and then the bottles just sat there. And I remember one time a glass one was full, and I was trying to pull it out, and it was super, super heavy. I was almost there, though. I almost had it, then bam, it all ripped open and dropped all over my feet and shattered all over the floor. I was so pissed, but I didn't say anything. Well, I did say something, but did not say anything that would get me in trouble. Yeah. That was one of only 2 times where I got super, super frustrated. Like, I was really close to really throwing a fit. The other time was I worked really late that Saturday night, and I had to get up early to work again on that Sunday, and I went on carts. And I go in a few minutes, like 5 minutes early, I think it was. And then I get a drink of water, and I go to the back where the water is, and I get a drink of water, check my phone real quick. And one of the supervisors saw me do that, and then she complained to the other supervisor, the head supervisor lady at the front desk. She called me up while I was bagging, and she's like, well, you were on your phone. And I'm like, I was just taking a breather. I was tired. I had to get up late last night. And she's like, well, you do that. You can't be on your phone. You can't see it. I could have you fired for this right now. Yeah. And it's like, well, then go back out and do the second round of carts. And doing carts back to back, up until the day I left, was a big no-no. People, they did not like if you did back-to-back cart hours. I guess they were a little bit lax about it. More lax about it, I should say. But, I mean, nobody really liked to do it. And nobody... I mean, I remember that day we were okay on carts. We weren't that great, but... and I walked out the exit door, and I walked into the lobby, and I screamed at the top of my lungs. And then I went out and brought a row of carts in, and the other supervisor lady came and talked to me and stuff like that. And I calmed down, and the rest of the day was fine after that. But that was annoying. That was like 2 months into me working there as well. So maybe if that happened today, I wouldn't be so mad. But then again, that probably wouldn't happen today. They wouldn't go back in there and check on me like that. There were more people working back then. Anyways, back to the bottle room, because we got new machines, and then literally it was a week ago we finally got the new machines in, and on top of getting new machines, we also got new painted floors, some better wall panels to replace the old ones, and so the whole room just got like a nice facelift. Now it's nice. The machines are really, really nice. They got touch screens, and the bins are really easy to pull out and in, and the belts are wider, they're cleaner, easier to clean, and they move quick and they're efficient, and they have nice sensors on them and stuff like that. But when they took the old machines out, they left behind this wall. I mean, literally a wall of about gunk, about this thick, okay? And then they left a thing of cans and bottles about this high, right? And then we had to clean all that up. And I was able to figure out how old the bottle machines were based on the bottles and cans that I saw sitting back there, because some of them were up to 14. Here we go, 14 years old, ladies and gentlemen. I found a Miller Punch Top can. That was from fucking 2008. Which was crazy, absolutely crazy. We finally got that cleaned up. The gunk was disgusting. Got the new machines. Now everything's really nice in there. And that's the reason why because the bins that were full of the unprocessed bottles from when we had the trash cans outside, they wouldn't take away. The company that takes our bins away, full bins away, and gives us new ones, wouldn't take it away. So we had to literally take them out of the bins, process them through the machines, and then they would take them away, which is bullshit because they would have probably taken them away. The management canceled our pickup because they wanted them processed to get the money from them. Why? My God. If there was any weak point, it was probably the management. The managers, I guess, have nothing really personally against. I think many of them were just very inefficient. Which, what do you get? I mean, it's a grocery store. But anyway, back to carts. I got a few other funny stories about that. Because the parking lot at this Kroger location that I'm talking about specifically is one of the most dangerous parking lots in the entire United States of America. You have people that speed through there. People are backing out, not checking where they are. A lot of old people driving through there because we have a lot of old customers. So, of course, they're older. They're not as alert to driving around. A lot of kids driving around, too, and speeding and blowing through stop signs. We have a series of 3 stop signs at the front. Nobody ever stops us. They go, trucks, semi-trucks, buses, cattle buses, regular customers. They'll just blow through that like nothing. And it's really, really annoying. And it's also very dangerous. Like, I know for a fact, the management told us one night we were on carts and they were getting on our case about not wearing the vests. And they're like, well, somebody's actually died out here in this parking lot. People have actually died. And we don't want that happening again. And that shocked me. Like, I knew people had gotten hit. I knew people had gotten hurt there. I'd never seen it happen. I'd never seen a death or an injury in that parking lot on the premises while I was there. But, like, it's crazy. Like, that's actually happened. Even for how dangerous the parking lot is, like, I'd always seen so many close calls, but I'd never seen actually anything happen. That was crazy when they dropped that bombshell on me. I was actually working one night when there was an accident, not on the parking lot, but the access road that leads to the parking lot. I was in the fuel center at that time, running the fuel center that night, actually just sitting back there watching videos on my phone just to make sure nobody robbed the place, but still counted. And that's when the accident happened. It was a car wreck. Nobody was hurt or anything like that. Just some wrecked cars, and that was it. But and then I remember some of the craziest cart pushing experiences, though, were in the snow. The first winter I worked there, the summers were their own experience because it'd get like 100 degrees and you would be like, it was hot and you'd drink water, but the water would be hot too because you have it in your pocket and everything like that. But I mean, at least then, like, the winter, like, I had to wear boots and my jeans, and then I had a shirt on with like a sweatshirt over that, and then my jacket over that, and then my apron over that. So I already have like a sizable gut, right? But it was like double the size, like boom, like all the way out here. And so then got all that stuff, and then you also got wear gloves and a hat and stuff like that. You had to like bring a ton of stuff with you just to go outside and push those carts inside, and that was like when it was only cold. Like, imagine it was like a snow. There was one time I remember, one snowstorm I remember pushing carts in particular. It was blizzard conditions. Like, we had a good foot of snow on the ground. Maybe more, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more than that. I don't quite remember, but we were pushing and we were just not going anywhere. Like, I was pushing these carts, grabbing and pushing, but I was like, I'm like ice skating, like skating along. Like, I'm just like no traction, can't get anything going. So I remember this guy, this random customer, offers to help use his truck to push the carts in. So one of my coworkers jumps on the back of the truck. He turns the truck around, goes in reverse. The guy grabs onto the carts and they push the carts in while the truck's going in reverse. And it worked. It freaking worked. That was the craziest part, is it actually worked. Oh my God, it was so funny how crazy that was. Oh my God. But anyway, yeah, that was that. And we had a few other experiences where with snow, but it wasn't as bad. Eventually, we got roofs over our cart corrals so that the carts would be protected, and that helped a little bit with that, and being able to, like, especially when it was raining too, because it would cover over rain as well, and even sun too. You get a little bit of shade, which was nice. And then we had trash cans in each of the corrals. Nobody would ever do those. One of them smelled so bad, and I couldn't even go in that corral to grab carts without having to hold my breath because of how bad it smelled. it'd be like once a month that people would empty that, and they fill up so fast. People put food, like scrap food in there. Like they'd eat a whole thing of chicken from our deli and then like leave half of it in the garbage. Or like McDonald's, Taco Bell, a lot of this crap that they would just leave in there. And I'm like, seriously, what are you doing? But I mean, my God, they smelled so horrible. The one by the cigarette picnic table also smelled very bad. I never really sat out. I sat out there once on a break when it was nice out and I needed a fresh air at night when nobody was smoking there at the time. That one smelled bad because that's where the cigarettes were, obviously, and stuff like that. And the trash in general was really fun, really not fun to do at all. Especially when when it's raining and you got to bring the garbage out and you throw the garbage on top and garbage juice dumps all over you. That was fun. That happened to me one time. Because we take, when you fill up the garbage, right? This is a secret I'm gonna let you on. And most of the stuff that we throw away, the sign says we recycle it. Some of it we do. We do recycle plastic and we recycle cardboard, but most of the stuff we don't. And we throw it away and we take this big compactor that's sitting outside of the receiving end of the store. And that thing smells so bad. It smells like rotten eggs, skunk, burnt tire, shit, and God knows what else, all combined into one. I even up until the day I left, I had to hold my breath walking over there to throw away trash. I hated doing the trash. I really did hate doing the trash. The only thing I probably hated more than doing the trash in general was doing the bathrooms. And again, pretty self-explanatory. The trash was the least of my problems in the bathrooms, okay? Many times, I mean, it amazes me that these grown adults are shitting on walls and shitting in urinals and not flushing the damn toilet and doing God knows what else in there. Grown adults too, like not just elderly people, like grown, like regular adults doing this kind of shit. It was so annoying. And workers would do it too. I can't tell you how many workers I watched go into the bathroom, and I'll be going to the bathroom and they'll finish and they'll just walk right out. They won't even wash their hands. So annoying. We have a perfectly fine working sink. Actually, it wasn't perfectly fine working the entire time. There was a good amount of time where the sensor wasn't working correctly. But they got that fixed actually today, which was a nice little surprise. But last day everything goes normal. But yeah, that pissed me off a lot. That happened a lot. More than I want to admit. That was a lot. But I mean, it was disgusting. I remember the last time I cleaned the bathrooms. I didn't clean them often. I usually got other people to do them. I would usually work on the bottom, or I'd usually do carts, or I would usually do other trash besides the bathrooms, or I would do the lobby, clean the lobby, like vacuum the carpet and do the trash in there, which was super easy. The easiest one out of them all was definitely the lobby. But I rarely ever did the bathrooms, and when I did, it was disgusting. And I would never do it completely because I just didn't want to put myself through that. I was getting paid Michigan minimum wage, $9.65 an hour. Eventually, that got upgraded to $10.50 an hour, which is what it was until I left. And I could have probably negotiated for more. I also could have switched departments. Again, I was really on my way out when I would have considered doing that anyways. So, not something I really needed to do. But anyway, the last time I cleaned the bathrooms was back, I think, I want to say it was February and March. Someone had taken a shit in the urinal, and I didn't know, and they told me to clean it up. I wanted to die. Right then and there. And I go in there, and he actually told me a better method of cleaning it up than I thought I would have to do, which was spray a hose on it, which actually was a more preferable idea than what I was expecting I would have to do. So I walk in there, the smell. I will never forget that smell. I wish I could forget that smell. The smell was disgusting. Oh boy. That happened, and I almost threw up. Cleaned up. I told myself. I told management. Told myself that I would tell management. Never did. but they never made me clean the bathrooms again. Like, well, we were going to negotiate something for you. I'm like, how about just never make me do the bathrooms again? And they never did. So that was good. That was a while ago, the last time I cleaned the bathrooms, but usually, again, I would do the bottle room or I would do carts. Carts was probably the most... Now, frankly, I thought the parking lot was the most dangerous place in the store. My scariest experience at the store, however, did not take place in the parking lot. It took place in the lobby of the store. I was on carts, and our manager had just left, like 15 minutes prior. And I'm pushing a row of carts, and as I do, I hear the alarm go, like, ding, 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 ding. I'm never going to forget that noise. That thing went off so much. And then afterwards, you would have this, like, little thing that would, like, beep, 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 and it would check the response time of the alarm system. And you would have to go shut that off by clicking a certain amount of numbers and whatever. And that was super new. The one on the exit actually broke, never worked. It stopped working one time. It just never got fixed. The one on the entrance, though, stayed working. But this is... And it was just late at night, and I'm pushing the carts in, and the guy comes out, and these two guys come out after the alarm goes off, the thing goes off, and they come out, and they're wearing hoods, and they're two African-American guys, and they come out with hoods, and they've each got a cart full of vodka. And they were obviously stealing it because the security tags were on it. They had a few other things, and I saw bananas, I saw apples, I saw oranges, a little bit of that stuff, but mainly was vodka. And I didn't quite figure out what they were going to do with that, if they got away, what they were going to do with that. But I pretty much pieced it together a little bit later that they were going to sell that online for profit. And I think the fruits were just because they wanted some other food. But I actually, and this is stupid to say now, but back then it seemed heroic. It was like February or whatever, January or whatever. I don't quite remember. But I stood in front of them to try and block the exit. And they're like, okay, you gotta move. Move. Like, no, you can't leave. You gotta pay for it. You can turn around and go pay for it. And one of them actually shoved me, pushed me, almost pushed me over. He shoved me, like, bam, like right over. And, but they got away. The cars didn't lock up for some reason. Even though they had the thing on it where they could have locked up. They didn't. So that happened, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, so that was scary. And that actually, them getting into contact with me actually forced the supervisor's hand in calling the cops. And a cop actually came, and I had to do a police report and everything. That was the only time I've ever had to do a police report. But that happened. That happened, folks. That was scary. That was really, really scary in the moment. I was shooken up afterwards. Which is crazy. There was a lot of instances of people stealing. We never actually got robbed, held at gunpoint, whatever. That never happened. We never nobody ever drew a weapon on us, as far as I know. I'm sure it's happened before, but not while I was working. And sorry for scratching my nose. My nose is itchy, but oh shoot, where was I? A lot of stealing. There's I know another instance of stealing. It was around Christmas time, I think. No. Oh, I know two. One is around Christmas time, one is not. But I was out on masks, and that was a task that we used to have to do back, because I started in the pandemic, and we would have masks out in the lobby, and people would come in, and you had to wear masks. So we would have somebody who would stand out there, they would greet customers, clean the carts off when they were brought in from outside, and make sure everybody had a mask. And that particular day, that was my role. I was just standing out there. And the lady came out on the front entrance door, and she had a cart full of stuff that she had obviously stole. And one of my coworkers at the time, she worked in the floor department. She was following behind her, and he was like, nope, take that back. And she was actually literally taking stuff out of the cart as they were walking away, and she eventually got pushed to the ground. She got shoved and everything, thrown out of the way. She did, some of the stuff got brought back, but then another one of my coworkers, he actually took a picture of her license plate, and the cops came and they sent that to, the cops got the license plate number and everything like that. So heroic moment there. And I don't know what happened to her after that, or to the lady or anything like that. Another instance, where they actually was caught, they didn't get away, was in the few instances where most of the time they got away. Mainly because nobody really had the legal ability to stop them. We didn't have an official security like guard or anything like that. I think management could have. I think some other people could have, but I personally couldn't. I couldn't stop them. I could have stupidly stepped in front of them like I did that one night, but usually I didn't. I usually just you had to let them go. You could yell at them to stop. You could do anything you wanted to try to yell at them and get attention to the people who could do something, but you couldn't do anything yourself. And I get that's for safety and stuff like that. So I'm not arguing that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that's why many of these people got away. But this one girl, she stole sushi, and she actually got caught by a cop who happened to be walking inside the store, the shop, and he actually caught her and he made her pay for it. And the cop watched the whole time. And that was one of the most awkward experiences I've ever been in there, because she was so distraught. Oh my god, having a cop watching you the whole time. Good on that cop though for serving her justice, because she paid for it, for sure. So that was one of the few times I got caught. And then this next story, this happened on Christmas Eve. I worked once on Christmas Eve. I got last year Christmas Eve off, but the first Christmas Eve I worked, it had to work because I put the day in for the request off, and then they rejected it and then scheduled me outside of my availability, which was really, really annoying. But I was working that day, and I'm just walking back up front, and one of the supervisors yells for management or just like somebody to help something happening outside. I'm like, what's going on? And there was like a whole lot of commotion outside the store. And we were so busy, we actually had a line outside the store waiting to go in and shop. That was a very rare occasion that happened, and I think it was because of COVID restrictions that they limited who could go in there. But it was still a lot of people that they could have in the store at a time. But we had a line during this particular time, Christmas Eve, which was super busy. That was probably the most busiest the store's ever been, or one of the most busiest times it's ever been. It was very, very busy. But I didn't quite know what happened, but apparently I learned a little bit later on, somebody had actually stolen someone else's phone while in line. And what happened was the people in line grouped around this guy, the robber, and kicked his ass. And that was so funny when I heard that. It was crazy. I cannot believe that was just a sign of awesome unity there around the holidays. That was awesome. I wish I had seen that in person, because that was absolutely crazy. I still cannot believe that happened, but that was crazy. But yeah, Christmas Eve was a wild shift, and I got scheduled outside my availability a good amount of times, especially once we got a new like scheduling system, because everything was done online, and we had the same system for the longest time. Yeah, we had a scheduling system that was fine. The system itself was fine. For some reason, they got rid of it. I don't know. I don't know why they did that, but all I know is it was horrible. They never got my schedule right. My availability never came through, and that was part of the reason why I quit. I'll get to the other reason in a minute. The main reason why I quit. Well, the main reason I stayed there as long was the main reason I quit. We'll get to that in a minute. But I did want to touch on the damage that it did to my body. I ripped holes in so many of my pants. That area, from burning holes in them. I burned holes in socks. I burnt holes in t-shirt. I'm not t-shirts. I got so many t-shirts dirty. I got so many pants dirty, shorts, all that stuff. Ripped them open, everything. And my shoes especially. I started with a pair of shoes. It was like a white with like a green Nike logo on them. And by the time I was done, they were like a silverish gray. That's how dirty they got. I still have those. I tossed the ones that I just finished with, which were black and orange. And the soles in those things were like ripped up so much, like they were disintegrating because of all the friction and stuff. And these were both old pairs of shoes anyways. I'd use them for school, and then they've been just kind of sitting there. Now the ones are retired. Where my apron, it had holes in the pockets, and so that's getting burned. The name tag is staying, though it's definitely got some damages to it. I'm keeping that with me, though. But my apron is going to get burned. There might be a short about that. I don't know yet. But I'm going to burn that in about a week. It'll probably already have happened by the time this video goes live, but still. And then, I mean that's pants and shorts and everything like that, because everything's ripped and teared and scratches. I have lots of scratches, lots of battle scars that'll eventually go away. Some of them will, but not all of them. Not all of them. And that's the part I'll never forget. But the main reason why I did quit was, and the main reason also why I stayed so long, was because of their scholarship opportunities. And many of them came through the union, and I was a part of the union, even though I didn't want to be part of the union, but I had to in order to get the pay increase. And so I wanted to do that. I wanted to get the pay increase, almost $1 increase per hour. Wanted to keep that, and so I got that increase, and I joined the union, and I had to pay union dues. But that's not the point of this. They had a different one that I got before joining the union, and it was the Feed Your Future Scholarship. And I was actually taking out the trash one night, and my then boss come up to me, and he says, "Well, where are you going to school in the fall?" I think it was in the fall. He says, "Where are you going to school, college?" And like, "Well, I'm going to go to MSU, and everything." He's like, "Well, I think we have a program for that where you can work here and get scholarship money for college." And I'm like, "Ooh, that's cool. What was that?" It's like up to like $2,400 a year or something like that, or no, 30, up to what was it? I don't even know, $3,400 a year, something like that. I'm like, shit, dude, I want to do that. Let's see what they got. And so we looked into it. Apparently, Kroger did it, and so does McDonald's. Or McDonald's in the area does it. And there's for a couple colleges. MSU is one of them. So I was eligible. And eventually, when the time comes along, I have to apply the summer before I start there, and then I have to apply after classes end to prove that I completed them. So in July 2021, I go and apply. Guy knows the guy, my other manager, not the same manager, but manager, knows about it and helps me get applied. It was a very long process, very egregious process to get it all done. Because you had to get your stuff, and then you had to log in on a work computer, and only a work computer, but you weren't really gonna be there anyways while you're off the clock. So you didn't know the clock, so I didn't know my lunch break, and eventually you have to fill out your credits, and you have to fill out everything like that, and then eventually it's done. Then you wait for it to get approved, and mine got approved. Then I worked the whole year while I was going to school, and a bunch of stuff happened. I got accused of workplace discrimination. I won't talk about that much. It was a fight. I will talk about it. It was a fight between me and a girl. I was passing on something that her supervisor had said, and she threw a huge fucking fit, and her friend went off on me as well. And then there was a huge argument at the front desk, and that was a long night. That was a long night. But I won't get too much into that. But then I come back was May. Classes ended, and I fill it out again. It's like late May. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna fill it out because there's a window of time you had to do it. And I go and fill it all out. Like, I was having trouble figuring out how to do it, and then I go and do it, and then get that stuff. And you had to work there, and that's the only reason why I stayed there. Like, the only reason I stayed working there. You not get a different job, you not just do school. That's the only reason why I stayed there and worked there, is because I wanted to get that scholarship money, and I wanted to get reimbursed and keep working there and stuff like that. And so, but eventually, what was it? I filled it out, and they said it was good. Said it looked good. And I clicked submit, so it submitted, and I just waited and waited and waited and waited for a response. A response that never came, that I got approved. And about a month, it took me a whole month, and I actually got an email for the guy who does it, and then I emailed the guy. Getting that email was like a 2-week process on its own, but I got the whole email thing, and eventually I emailed the guy. He's like, "Hey, it never came through. Can you see what happened?" It's like, "We never got one for you." And I was like, I actually emailed the wrong guy first, by the way. So it was like a 2-day extra process to do this, because I emailed the wrong guy and I didn't even know it. That was my fault. And then the guy's like, "Well, you didn't get it." And then I'm like, "Well, okay, what do I do to resubmit it?" And he's like, "Well, we're past the deadline and you can't get it." I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You gotta be kidding me. I'm like, are you gotta be fucking shitting me with this shit? Come on. And then eventually, I'm like, I've made up my mind. Like, I talked to my parents about it, and I'm like, it's too much. And then we read the fine print afterwards. Apparently, I had to work there another year after I get my last reimbursement to keep the money. After I get the reimbursement, I have to work there another year to keep the money. And I didn't want to stay there another year. I wanted to be gone after I got the reimbursement. So it wasn't even, shouldn't even have gone through it in the first place. And so then we're like, all right, we're done. I'm going to go in tomorrow and put my 2 weeks notice in. And then my old manager, the guy who set me up the first time, responds to that email because I had actually emailed him to asking for help on what to do. And he took a whole week and a half to respond. But he jumps in, tries to save me, last ditch effort, and it's like, can you appeal this? You know, he's done everything he could. Like, I could vouch for him, everything like that. The guy never responded to that. That's where the thread of the emails ends. But by that point, I made it all my mind, and I went in the next morning, put my 2 weeks notice in. The bottle machines came in. Bottle machine stuff happened after the machines came in. I emailed them saying like, yeah, thank you for the opportunity, and I'm gonna be done, and never got the tuition reimbursement that I was hoping for, which sucks. I mean, it might hurt later on, but hopefully working a new job on campus in the fall, like I already said, will be good for me. Then I put my 2 weeks notice in. It's kind of an awkward process to put in. I wrote up a little letter of resignation per request of my father, and he helped me write it out. It was like not like a couple of sentences or whatever, and I handed that in, and then it was my last day, and then he's like, oh, I'm sorry about that. And there's another guy in there, a guy I don't even know, a manager in training, just in there while that's going on. I wanted to be a one-on-one conversation, and this guy's like, oh, you could go talk. I'm like, well, I'm quitting, bye. So like that was what he was expecting to hear. But that was fine. And then that happened. Then the bottle machines came in, and other than that, it was pretty lax. Other than the machine stuff, that was a big deal, and getting all that. And then they finally came in, and then we got those all figured out. And I helped out, clearing out backlog of stuff and just kind of working it out last few days. And then today was the final day, and I worked in the bottle room as I usually do, and didn't do one card hour, which was crazy. And then I got some hugs on the way out, which was nice, and I'm done. So, and I get the rest of the summer to myself, and then get another job mid to late August, like I said, and then be back on the job force. So hopefully I won't bleed all my money until then. That would be bad, and I would have to go to therapy for that, because that's a lot of money. I don't have a ton of money, but to spend that much in like that short amount of time, it's not gonna happen. Shouldn't happen, at least, unless I go make impulse buying decision on some Pringles or whatever. But what do I think about the job? Well, one, would I recommend it to anybody else? What I did? No, I wouldn't recommend that to anyone else. At least it's not as long as I did. I would recommend starting there and doing something better. Get the intel, get the knowledge, but move on to something better. Something was better pay. I got the lowest paying position. There was definitely other positions that are paying $12.50 an hour, $13.50, $14.50 an hour. Go do those instead of $10.50 an hour shit that I was doing. That was horrible. So don't do that. Please don't do that. Well, you hear from me. Pringles and PSA. Don't do what I did. Especially as long as I did. But I mean, as far as what did I like it? I can't say I liked it. I can't say I enjoyed it. But I can't really say I hated it either. A lot of mixed feelings, a lot of mixed reception from it, and I'll probably be wrangling with that for a long, long time until I get a new job and really start learning about it and stuff like that. And then I go back and see what it's like now and see what it's like then and stuff like that. And then I don't know. I guess that's just how it's gonna have to be. So, well, I don't know. I guess just have to see how it goes. I'm not really too hung up on it, but I'll talk. There's some people I still talk to. I mean, it's only been a couple hours, but there's people that I'll still talk to afterwards, and I'll go in there and visit, and they'll recognize me and stuff like that. I was pretty well known around the premises. But it was it was an experience for sure. A lot of fun stories that I'll never forget. I almost forgot to talk about the time we lost power. I'm not going to talk about that. You can find that out on the Strollin' and Trollin' podcast with Jeff of the Mellows. I'll be talking about some more stories there, going in depth some more of the stories there on the podcast, and maybe on a stream or whatever, I'll talk about more about my experiences at Kroger. But I think this video has gone on long enough, almost an hour of me talking, and I can go on for hours and hours of talking and stories, talking about people and talking about places and talking about things. I left out some stuff and to talk about it at a different time. But if you've ever worked at Kroger in my position or other positions, if you've ever done anything similar to it, or what was your first job like, I'd like to know in the comment section down below. And guys, no job equals more videos, so stay tuned again for much more amazing content. Let's see if we can make this my job. That would be a wholeheartedly awesome thing. But I'm not asking you to do anything about that. As long as you just click on the videos and don't say hateful comments. Stay working, guys. We need more employees out there. So until next time, I will see you guys later. Goodbye.